It's you. You're not sure when this started happening, but here you are, jittery with anticipation and nervous to step foot out of your room. Being nervous is new to you. You meet your own eyes and study yourself in the mirror you stand in front of, helplessly cracking a smile at the state of you. You were never really good at being fashionable, but you hope this is enough. Adjusting the collar of your gray dress shirt around your crimson tie, skimming your eyes over the rest of your black suit, the edge of your sight teased by the reflection of the door behind you and what lies past it. You take a deep breath and convince yourself that the person standing on the other side is just the person you trust most. It's your lover. It's your best friend. It's just Kun. Just Kun. It's a Garo who seizes the air in your lungs and leads you by hand in your dreams. Confidence drawn taut in broad shoulders, a fearlessly bared neck, the high lift of his head an innate defiance to all. Who turns blue eyes your way, radiant among silver blue tresses, and grins, glints razor sharp danger and sweetened salvation all the same. And in that tenor you know better than your own voice, he says your name. Bomb? You jump. Are you ready? Are you ready? No, you think. You never have been, looking at yourself and laughing at your reaction. Not being ready has been the underscore of your life, tossed and tumbled in the currents of what others think the world should be and your place in it. And now that you are cut adrift into the throes of a freedom you are able to define yourself, your greatest dream come true, you don't know what to do with yourself but to do something. Even then, this instance is not like the others. There is no war here, no battle to add to the nicks and gnarled lashes of your knuckles. And there is no fear ripping the jagged seams of yourself that has been haphazardly lashed back together more times than you can count. It is, however, a battle of a different kind, one you are familiar with yet alien to all at once, that makes you smile rather than languish, that forces you to try to convince yourself to continue to press forward where you never needed that encouragement before, that trembles your fingers as you pull open the door. The battle of this different kind greets you, and it's devastating. Standing there, hands in his pockets in a perfectly tailored navy suit with golden buttons, hair slicked back and the rest of his silken tresses cascading loose over one shoulder, perfect and blue. All blue focused squarely on you, the edge of his mouth in a crooked rise as your eyes trace the shape of him, quench their thirst with him as though you'd gone a distance without him, of time or length or of perhaps both. Your eyes meet his in all their blue sharpness within, and you feel the heat on your face despite yourself because you know that he knows what he does to you. It goes both ways, in turn with what you do to him as he lifts his hand, palm up, to lead you when you need your lighthouse in the dark seas of this life unlived. After fighting when fighting was all you knew, after his schemes and lies and his having unlearned doing them for himself, he leads you down the hall by hand, turns around to check on you with his gleaming blue flames, and grins with promises of just enough danger to keep your lives interesting. Grins in a way that's signed by him in his unique way and altogether new. And in that moment, you know you'd go with him wherever he goes, no matter what. You smile back, knowing that hasn't changed. But you're not allowed to be near him tonight, and the battle that rattles you begins. good with parties. You are jovial grace, fug slayer, revered and feared the width and breadth of the tower in the public eye, and it is no different here. It's oppressive, the way they all turn and look at you, look away, bore gazes in ways you can and can't discern into your back when they think you aren't looking. And you can't get used to not being able to get away from what you learned truly was your real name. Still, they hold you down, bare your neck with their ideals, and crush those not their own. This is not for you. Your eyes are elsewhere in resistance to those before you. Without him at your side, that which ties you to him, full and pressing in your chest, lends to the bloom of yearning within you, shattering as winter graced butterflies throughout your heart. You search for him in the blurs of revelry that doesn't have anything to do with you, the you really are, that no one tries to see. Because, still, loud and resonant in your mind, you know you are not jovial grace. You are you. And though you wish to let these expectations from unremarkable rancors slide off of you, they stubbornly cling to the hulls of your mind, and you habitually seek a corner to hide from them. The corner is distant. Distance vividly lets you feel the traces of him in the spaces left behind. The people part around you as you move. You, a graceful shark in the sea of beautiful minnows you never intended to harm. You spot your friends as you search amongst the flows of chiffon and silk, performative laughter and clinking of wine glasses poured freely, eyes lured towards you and not where they should be. Isu, ever purple and lively, a gaggle of girls clung to his every word. Hats, a lonely sentinel at a pillar, who meets your eyes and nods. Laura, rarely awake and rarely here, shockingly lucent and regal in a way you never knew, discussing Shinsu in ways you never could explain, but innately understand to a crowd as you drift on past. Anak, tall and prideful, drawing stares and scattering interference in an argument with an equally tall and prideful rancor, poison in their words but pleasure bright in their eyes. Rack, high above in decompressed glory with none his equal. And Dorsey, in her element, full of intrigue, alluring and exhilarating, the perfect word catcher for the phrase to leave this palace of lies. And there, your eyes immediately latch onto the blue you seek. Someone finds you. You find an excuse, intent on pulling on the thread that binds you to cinch you both ever closer, dyed in his color. You weave and waft and part the seas of people, and you want him to see you. His eyes slide to yours, and this, it holds you. This, the sight of this resplendent blue that calms you, redolent with an elegance you could never match, lambent under the dim Shinsu lights, their glimmer constellations spun upon silverine strands. This, the way he stands at ease, the way his head, tilted back, smile cat-like and lazy, lures his prey of three into complacency, fingers twined around a flute of wine used to muffle laughter into the rising bubbles, greasing tongues and loosening inhibitions. This, the way he is comfortable here, as if he had never left this behind, buried in a past he rarely speaks of, only how it marred him. This, simply crossing the ballroom for this, something deemed a frivolity in the scheme of things, feels far harder than you ever imagined this love would. You are supposed to resist. You are 10 steps away. 1, 2, 3, 4. He turns to you then, and it may not be too late to reconsider your actions. Blue eyes flicking to you and back. 5, 6. No, you must continue at this point. The rise of your need is faster than the bubbles in that wine glass. 7, 8, 9, 9, 9. Agero has looked at you and stopped in place, and you see pride in him and all he is. The others around him turn to you, and you remember where you are, who you are supposed to be, what you are doing, what you are interrupting as their eyes widen at the sight of you, as a floor test waits for no mistakes. And this is one. You try to make up an excuse. You've never been good at this either. You falter part way because your eyes have never left his. All you see is that pride in his eyes, and now you see that some of that pride is reserved for you, knowing you will always single him out from hundreds who vie for your attention. Come find him and him alone, no matter where you both may be. He also sees right through you to your radiance of need. You are a creature that loathes loneliness, and he is your sought corner. You don't pay attention to the parting words Agero leaves for faceless rancors you realize are probably important but wouldn't care about no matter how much you would have tried. Your attention lies only in the warm hold of his hand in yours again, leading you away to somewhere not here, to be swallowed in the darkened eaves of forgotten halls devoid of prying eyes. You slip away from the party with Agero. You are, however, good at this. Words were never your strong suit. What you feel is immense, suffocating, all-encompassing and simultaneously too much and too little. Words and thoughts fail you often, and action is what you find most comfortable to convey what you need. Thankfully, words are something you rarely make use of between you. What you feel for this man before you, who cages your body to the wall with his, who readily abandons grand plans for you, would be poetry if you had those words. And your poem lives here, suspended in the eddies of your shared breath. Your memorized cadence unfurls gently, roughly, hungrily in its silent roar of surrender. Your fingers grounded in planes and curves you know better than your own. His in equal measures lifting your leg to wrap around his hip, and his lips taste of wine and longing. A slaking of thirst in waters that map and reflect starlight and darkness, snaring the entirety of your existences in this fleeting pearl of time. You wrap Agero in the beautiful story you have for him, carried in the broad width of your arms. Thank him for whispering you somewhere quiet, somewhere where you don't have to make choices, where you need to know nothing at all, nothing but him and his warmth and his sultry lyricism and more breath than sound singing this. Love, tuned to your ears. Love, found in this safe haven from all that ails you, in his laugh, in his eyes, in the way he checks on you, makes sure you're grounded and in control, his fingers over your skin and his breath on your neck, reminding you of a worth you struggle to see. Sometimes you think you didn't know you had a soul until the moment he first kissed you. Agero stops before you both go too far and whispers promises of later. You love Agero's promises of later almost as much as you love Agero himself. Later means more. Later means there is no end to this poem inked in gold and blue and the little matching marks re-hidden under both your collars. And later means reaffirming who you really are and conveying what Agero truly means to you in the absence of words that, honestly, if you actually had them, would never feel like enough. And you think, love was always made out to be this big, flowery thing with colors and scents, but really all Agero has done is make you feel better, greater, more than you thought you could ever be. And isn't that enough? That someone doesn't make you want to run and hide from yourself anymore? You could be all you want for Agero, be the best you could be, and you know in this truth of connection that even when you feel most alone, Agero would always be holding you. And maybe he doesn't know it yet, but you know you would be holding Agero too. He matters to you, and you to him, perhaps more than life itself. You know this well. You return to being jovial Grace, if just a while longer. He lets go of your hand and returns to how he wishes to be seen, a clever, trusting blade to be wielded as others see fit, one laid in wait to learn weaknesses in armor, to twist their words and bury them into vulnerable flesh with a precision just as exacting as the rest of him. He leaves you to be a lone shark left swimming in puddles of time, and reminds you why you are here with gentle reassurance. You will be fine. Eyes follow you wherever you go, watching your every move, attempting to pick apart something they do not know, pretend to know from sources not you, watching, though eyes fearing what won't come. They do not know the enemy does not live in you. They do not know. You do have to remind yourself of this. You, your life, is not their foe, not your wounds or mistakes, not even the hurt you caused, not your temper, evened out and only thrice bared to the violence of the light, not your failures, not the paths you have taken or those you've passed on, not your reckless love or their absent God they seek in whatever they can. The enemy does not even occupy your mind. The enemy never existed inside you. You didn't let it infiltrate, storm the gates you fought with your own blood to recognize and craft. You are told you are innocent of that, if not of everything. You only reacted as necessary. The enemy does not live in you because you do not allow it to. You care only for those close to you who turn their eyes to you now, who have seen you for who you truly are, who banish that enemy from thought and action. Those who gather close to you, here before the host of this party full of vicious tiny minnows, thirsty for blood they will not receive tonight. Next to you, he stands, equally aware. The test examiner asks for the word you should have uncovered in your liaisons with these peoples that avoided you, that hardly gave you a chance to be who you are, that never spoke a word to you. To be fair, you never sought them either. Blue eyes shine bright next to you. It is your turn. Your word is something you are familiar with. It lines the path you walk and have walked from the moment the tower first welcomed you. You have walked it in your waking hours and in your sleep. Most days, its phantom touch dares invade your thoughts. You have learned to live with it, and it still follows, a companion wherever you go. And here, it was on grand display. You resist embellishing further, the word you loathe loosed from your lips. Fear. Strung together, all of you, a cordon of truth assembles piece by piece. Our enemy, fear, does not live within us. It won't. Fear is something you do not feel, because those that matter to you, here at your side since the beginning, they do not feel this fear from you that others invent and recoil from, and you do not feel it in turn. It is a fear you will never feel, as he has never feared you, and never will, no matter who or what you will become. Fear will not stop any of you this far in, regardless of what ill it whispers into sanity and resolve. The enemy, fear, does not live in any of you so long as you are together. The examiner smiles. Your team passes the test of the 76th floor. Together, you leave the party in the early hours of the morning. You have always hated being alone. Relief floods you as you watch the others huddled in your float ship on your ride home, some a little too drunk from the wine whose cups they dipped in too far, others annoyed with what that entails, too loud and too loose with action. You don't mind. You never have. Content with the joy they bring you as they are, the warmth of their presence that you did once die for. Yet, Even amongst your treasured friends, you are always stealing glances of him. You like this rare side of him, slightly disheveled, tie loose and hair undone, uncaring, exhaustion evident in those confident shoulders. You like it because he is less guarded now. Sharp blue flame, gentle embers you know can spark back to life if you wanted to, just for you. It's effortless, too, because your eyes meet. They always meet, no matter where you are. And there they are, alight and warm, inviting you away from the cold of the night. He holds out his hand for you as he has done before. You grin widely. Hots drunkenly calls you out for blatantly flirting in front of them. Laughter bubbles out of you. If only he knew just how often your flirting happens in their presence. Such a remark would have flustered you years before. But now, the reaction it pulls from Aguero will always warm you. How he always defends you and himself from insults with no heat. It's all teasing among friends, and you laugh a little harder as Hats fires back. The float ship tilts on a banking turn, and in that moment, a sleeping rat rolls himself out of his chair with a loud squawk. You're helpless at this point, laughing just as hard as the others. Like clockwork, you turn to Aguero, and he looks at you. What lies between you gently rests bare, a rush spilled into somewhere where time stops. It is nothing but you and him. Feeling more alive than you've been in recent memory, you take his hand first. You hold it, squeeze it, and never will you look away from him and this love you think yourself lucky to have found that you weren't even looking for. You still find it hard to believe this is yours sometimes, that this is real. The iridescent blues turned on you narrowed by joy and full of adoration, reminding you that you are more than labels, names, and prophecies that you never wrote for yourself. This is Aguero, and this is you with him at your side. These are your trusted friends, there to walk beside you. This is what has come to define you. You, the 25th bomb, not any other name.